Hey, welcome back. And if it's your first time here, just welcome. Today, I want to talk about, your shutter finger. Because some days it's just not useful. Not because you don't want to take pictures, but because it's not at the end of a long enough stick. I'm talking about remote photography. So if you want to do self-portraits, if you want to do a family group portrait where you will need to be in it as well, if you want to do wildlife photography, if you want to put your camera on a pole to do pole cam photography for real estate, that sort of thing, anywhere where you need to be somewhere different to where your camera needs to be, this is what we're talking about. Now you've got a couple of options. You can either set self-timer with all the headache that produces. So you've got to put this thing on a tripod, you've got to make sure you set the self-timer, you've got to make sure you get everything lined up, everything in focus, press the shutter button, run back to where you needed to be and hope you get there before the shutter trips, or that you're in the right place before the shutter trips, or that you actually pressed the button properly, or that the focus was in the right position, or all those other problems that just make self-timers such a pain in the butt. So we're not going to talk about self-timers because they're just pointless. Instead, what you need is a remote release, and that's where this thing comes in. This is a Yongnuo RF603 Mark II. It's actually a wireless flash trigger, but it has another neat little trick up its sleeve, and that's what we're going to look at today, because this also doubles as a really good remote trigger. So all you need to do is to make sure you have two, and that you've got a lead that connects the camera to the trigger. So inside there's 4 channels. I've got it set to 3 is on and the others are off. You can set any of those to on as long as they correspond with the other one. And then one of them goes on top of a hot shoe. Just do that up. And then it comes with this cable, and it's this end here that's the important end, because that corresponds with which camera make you've got. So this one's for a Nikon, because I've got Nikon, and if you've got a Canon, you'll get another one. So that just, you find the right point, and then that just does up with your thumb, and then this cable here goes into that section. Turn that on to TRX, and you'll see that there's a green flashing light. This one you also turn to TRX, and you also get a flashing green light. And then lens cap comes off, turn the camera on, and then half depress the shutter to focus, and then fully press to take the shot. So let me go and show you what that does out in the open air.
Do you know, I could have just shown you how this thing works by setting the camera up down the bottom of my garden, going to the top of my garden, pressing the button, and able to work. But that's dull. So I've travelled nearly 200 miles to Cornwall to a place called Kennel Vale. This is the woodland at Kennel Vale, and as you may be able to hear, and in a minute you'll be able to see, just down there is a waterfall. Now that is going to make a perfect backdrop for what I've got in mind, because I thought this tool is perfect for taking self-portraits, but if I just set the camera up, took a self-portrait of me, where's the fun in that? So, we're going to do something a little bit more playful. What we're going to do is I'm going to create the artwork, the new artwork, for the top of my YouTube channel. As you might be able to see, just down here, my camera is all set up. It's pointed over there, and I'm going to get myself into a position to create a imaginative and unusual shot. Camera set up, nice and level, pointed right at the rock that I want to sit on to take the picture. One remote release goes on the camera. Cable gets connected to the camera and then gets plugged in like so. The other remote release turns on. This one turns on, green light, green light. I'll just do a test, and this will give me an idea as to whether the shutter speed's right. And as you can see, we've got nice blurry water. So all that remains now is for me to get a bit wet and dirty. So, I don't know if you can hear me above the noise of this, but here I am in position. This is the shot I want. I'm going to do a couple of exposures. But first, I'm going to stay really, really still. And smart myself up, as you need. Look directly at the camera, and then stay as still as I can. And make sure I hide this. First composition didn't work, so I backed the camera off to give me a bit more perspective. I want to use quite a long lens. I'm using an 85mm to compress the perspective of the waterfall, and then hopefully it will get me a nice image, but I just needed to be back a little bit because I was too big in the frame. So, take two. Thank God for my Merrills, eh? Let's go and see how that turned out. Now that was fun, but focus is a bit tricky. Obviously I'm just relying on the camera and guessing where my head should be in the frame to work out where the focus should be adjusted to. But I have a little gadget that might just help. This is a ZigView S2, and it allows me to see what the camera sees and to line myself up where I think the focus should be from all the way over there, because I have the ZigView, I have the mount for the camera, and you get these for different mounts. This is quite old, so it could be that they don't make this particular model anymore, but you should be able to get something similar. I also have a lot of cable, so I can plug this into the back of the camera. It then feeds a video signal through from the camera through to the viewfinder, and I'll be able to see what I'm taking a picture of. You just unscrew the camera's eyepiece and then screw in the ZigView video viewer. And then connect up the cable, and this bit needs to be level so you can see a clear image on the screen. And then you have the cable coming out and running all the way down there. Right, we're ready. Don't drop that in the water. And don't drop this in the water either. So, I can now see myself in the viewfinder. I can adjust myself exactly I can do as many poses as I like, as I can see exactly what I'm doing. Alright, let's go to the next location, because I've got a couple of shots. Where are you going? I've got a couple of shots in mind. Just need to watch where I'm treading, because I've already been over once. Luckily I didn't have the camera on, but I'm just going to the next location, which is another little bit of a waterfall, and you'll see just what I mean about an unusual shot. And this is the next shot. And luckily it's the last shot, because I'm about to get wet. Just like the front of this lens, hold on. So the next shot is a more of a portrait image, if you like, of me getting absolutely soaking wet. Because I'm going to stand behind that. Right, we're going for a shot. Now this might be a complete disaster and I just get soaking wet, or it might work too. Who knows? But without trying, you will never know. A little bit wet now. Time to go home. So that is basically how you get cold, wet and muddy in the name of photography. But what it does give you is shots that other people don't take, which is important, because if everybody took the same pictures, life would be really boring. And actually, most people do take the same pictures. So the story is, or the moral of the story is, always get cold, wet and muddy. Unless you live in the tropics, in which case get hot, wet and muddy. Wet and muddy is the important part, because nobody else does. So this is me just heading back to the studio once I've driven 200 miles home, and I'll show you how I go about trimming it up and making sure that all the elements are in the frame that I want, and then I'll show you the big reveal of the image. So I'll see you back there. This place is amazing. I'm going to have to come back and do some proper photography, maybe in the fall, or the autumn as we call it here. But it's just a stunning place, and just a few miles from where my friends live. I mean, look, through there, over there. A building all on its own. Amazing. Beautiful place. Finally found the way out. I took the wrong path, I went the low road. Should have gone the high road. On the way back now. Peace.
Bet that's the fastest 200 miles you've ever travelled. So, we're in the studio. I've thrown all the images into the computer and chucked quite a few of them out again. I'm only looking for 3 to 4 shots to choose from, and the second setup just didn't work. As you can see, it's a fun image, but not everything you take will be usable, and you need the conviction just sometimes to drop it. The first setup though produced some great shots, as you can see. I've just given them both a tweak in Photoshop to get the right colour palette, and I think between the two I prefer this one. You can get some idea of what will work and whether what you've chosen is any good by comparing it to some other popular YouTube channels in the same genre. So YouTube has a handy PSD file you can download, and I'll put a link in the description box down below. Now it gives, as you can see, the safe areas for various devices: TV, desktop, tablet and mobile devices. And while it states 2460 pixels by 1440 pixels is okay for a TV, I would go on the 423 pixel height, just because that's pretty much going to cover all the devices you're going to come across. And even TVs these days will use the thinner pixel height, I believe. So I need to bring myself down a little to get into that part of the frame. And it crops off the top, which I'm not too worried about, as I'll simply even it up by cropping the bottom to match. And now I'm in the right place, I just need to consider the channel logo and the text. If you have a company logo, then I would include it in a blank area of that image. Mine is just my name, so I'm not going to, but I am going to add some text to give visitors an idea of what my channel is about. The key is to balance the image and the text so they don't fight against each other. And try placing it centrally or off to one side, depending on whereabouts the main part of your image is. Mine works towards the bottom and centrally in the image, and I'm using a font that I use on my website and pretty much all my correspondence. So it just has the one message and everything will look like it belongs together. So with all that in place, I'll save the image out as a JPEG and then upload it to YouTube, and that's it. Job done. I've now got a new and creative piece of artwork for my channel which describes what I do. Thanks very much for coming along for the ride. If you like this video, smash me a like. Subscribe if you want to see when my next videos are coming out. Don't forget the bell. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.